Well, hello, and welcome to Think Like an Entrepreneur. My name is Debbie Hoffman Adair, and my show is developed because I love to talk to entrepreneurs. I think they think differently. I know that I think differently. I have been an entrepreneur for many, many, many moons, let's say 40 years, and I am always fascinated with the people that start their own business, that runs their own business. I can't get enough of interviewing them and talking to them about their ideas. Today, I am so delighted to have not only a speaker, she's an author, she's a business coach. Her name is Kathleen Murphy, and she is the author of Wisdom Whisperer. Welcome to the show, Kathleen.
Thank you, Debbie. It's so great to be here.
I've heard a lot about you before I met you, and then I had the opportunity to meet you about a month ago.
That's right.
And I'm just blown away by everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for making the drive up here.
Oh,
too.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
So you are a wisdom whisperer.
Yes, I am.
Well, tell me about that. Was this the name of the book, or were you a wisdom whisperer before the book came?
I probably was a wisdom whisperer before the book came, but the challenge that I had was thinking about naming my book. And so I went through many different processes to try to determine what would be the best name for my book. And I thought about, well, what is really my book all about? And it's about a collection of all my experience that I've had over the past 20 plus years as a businesswoman executive. And I said, well, you know, I'm not like a loud type of person. So I said, I have to come up with a name that infers I'm teaching, but not in a loud way, and I'm imparting wisdom. So I was like, okay, I've got the word wisdom. And so I thought Whisperer would be a good name just because I figured, well, people can choose to listen or not. When someone's whispering, you have to pay attention. And so it's up to you to pay attention. And so therein lies how the name came about.
Well, I love the title. I think it's great. Let me
you.
just read what it says in this is an insider secrets from her 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't know how the 40s part. For success as a business executive, ever wish you had a coach or a mentor to help you surmount obstacles in your life and propel you to the next level of business success? We have found one, and it is you. So
I'm here.
You're here. You're here. All right, let's start with the basics.
Yes.
What did you do in the beginning of your business life?
So I worked in corporate marketing in the high-tech space for most of my career. And I was fortunate enough to get to a place where I was running teams, and I got a lot of opportunities to travel around the world based on the type of work that I was doing and for the companies that I work for. So that was a huge advantage just in terms of seeing the world from a completely different perspective, and really has helped to shape and inform me in terms of the wisdom that I share with others, if you will, and the collection of what I write about and continue to write about has definitely been influenced by the traveling that I've done outside of mainly the U.S., but I've done an extensive amount of traveling in the United States as well.
Awesome. And when did you become an independent, an entrepreneur, where you work for yourself?
Technically, I'll say about a year ago
Okay.
is really when I launched myself, and because that's when I came out with my book in April of 2018. And I also became a Gallup certified StrengthsFinder coach at that time as well.
What is that?
So what that means is that I leverage off of a platform that Gallup has developed, 50 plus years ago, that helps people to identify what their top 5 strengths are. And
Really?
and it's really critical that people understand this knowledge of what their top 5 strengths are, because they've had these strengths since they were a really little person, but yet the advantage that you gain when you know what they are, like earlier on in life, I didn't find out what mine were until a few years ago, and without telling you what my age is, you know that I'm not in my 40s. Someone can do the math on that one.
30s, I know you're in your 30s.
Oh, exactly. I love your math. It's probably like mine. So when you find out and understand what your top 5 strengths are, the premise of it is that you are to focus your talent and your attention on only those strengths. Forget about what you're not strong at doing, and focus your time and attention on those things that you're good at to then become exceptional. So look for opportunities to put you in a path so that you can focus on those strengths and continue to develop them over time and just become extraordinary at those strengths. So I coach people to basically shine. I like to call myself a people diamond polisher because...
Oh, that's a great word.
Thank you. Before I was working with the Gallup Strengths Finder concept, I have one of my talents is individualization, so I'm good at spotting what people are good at, even when they can't see what they're naturally gifted at doing, and I help to bring that out. But by using the Gallup Strengths Finder system, I can identify even further and with more clarity that they have a particular strength or strengths and work with them on those. And I work with people that individually as well as teams.
I think that's brilliant, actually. I know I have strengths and I have weaknesses. And sometimes people, I'll give you an example. Every time I go to a Chinese restaurant, they give you chopsticks.
Yes.
Right? I don't want to eat with chopsticks. I just don't. And people will say to me, but Deb, you should learn how to do this. It doesn't interest me, and I'm not even going that direction. If I go to China, I will bring a fork with me. I know, you know. So I'm not interested in learning that piece, although I'm a great person to learn things. I love to learn.
Right.
But I really do focus on the strengths that I have, and I didn't even know that intuitive. So may I ask, what are your 5 top strengths? What did you learn about yourself?
Sure. So my top 5 strengths are positivity, strategic.
Ooh, maybe that's why we connected.
It could be. So we'll have to find out what your top 5 strengths are. I'd love to know. So positivity, strategic, individualization, a ranger, and woo are my strengths.
Ranger?
A ranger.
A ranger.
A ranger, yeah.
Okay. And what was the other?
Woo.
What's woo?
Winning others over.
Ooh, I love it.
Yes, it's a lot of fun to have that one. What it means is that I just really enjoy meeting new people all the time. My oldest son also has woo, but it's his #1 strength.
Oh.
So it's really funny seeing how he interacts with the world compared to me not having it as my #1. Positivity is my #1, and he doesn't have positivity, which is kind of surprising because typically people with woo are upbeat, they have a lot of energy and such, but that's his one. But so I've got the positivity and the woo, so I've kind of got it at both ends.
Well, you know what? I do meet a lot of people that are not, positivity is not, I mean, not that they're not positive people, but it's not one of their bigger strengths. So I get it, but the woo part, oh, I like this.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So I'm the person, or my son is the person that you take if you don't enjoy going into social situations to meet other people, because we'll introduce you to everybody.
There you go, I get it. Oh, that's funny.
It is.
So, so you were working for other companies now.
Yes.
I believe I heard you say this when we met, that you wrote articles for LinkedIn. Is that a truth?
So I publish on LinkedIn on a weekly basis.
I think that's brilliant because I never do this, and so
No,
I'm
you
fascinated with like.
You should.
Okay, I should, but
everybody can.
Right.
And it's you know, if you have a LinkedIn account, it's something that you should be doing.
So how did you get started with that? You just decided you were gonna write articles and.
Well, it sort of, if you want to take back a little bit on it, I really didn't start thinking about writing a book until about 2 years ago, when I was working with a company that happened to be one of my clients, found out about one of the gentlemen, a young gentleman on the team that was writing poetry, but on the side he was also writing a novel. And he self-published his poetry book, and I was fascinated by that, and I started asking him questions about it. I'm very curious. So I said, how do I go about doing something like that if I were to ever think about writing a book? Not that I am, but just, you know, entertain me with this concept. So he said, you should really write a book, Kathy. And so I just kind of did the eye roll, and he said, no, seriously, you teach us all the time so much. You have so much to say. And so I said,
wisdom?
So much wisdom. And so I said, well, how do I get started? And he said, first, you can just queue up something like a WordPress site, and you can simply put have it serve as a repository for your writing. I said, well, no one's going to read it. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, it's there, and people can discover you if you want them to.
Okay.
And so I said, all right, seems easy enough. I think I could probably do that. And then I said, well, is there something else I should be doing? He said, well, you should take that same writing and put it on LinkedIn and just publish it on a weekly basis, just cut and paste or link to your WordPress site. And I said, I think I can do that. So I challenged myself to do that, and so I did.
So when you put it on LinkedIn, does it go out to the whole world to see, or just the people that are on your LinkedIn connections?
It can do both. And
Okay.
so you can choose who you want to see it. So I'll pick public, but it will go out to my network, but it can go out beyond that. And then if people share, it goes into their network as well.
Ah, I think that's so fascinating. I have not done this.
You
Now,
have to try it.
LinkedIn, I have a bazillion people on my LinkedIn account, and I never do anything with it. So my fall, I always have a project that's coming up. I'm like, okay, my fall, I'm going to really study this LinkedIn thing because I've got it. So, and you got me curious.
I'm glad. It's really quite in depth in terms of what you can do with LinkedIn. You can add videos to it. You can certainly do your publishing. You can change out and swap out the information relating to what you're doing on a regular basis. You can put information relating to who you're volunteering with that particular period of time, etc. So you can put your accolades there. You can give other people references on there, if you will, and recommendations, which I highly recommend that people do. It's really good to give those out to other people.
Do you, I tend to be a person that you have to tell me, or I put it on my schedule, like, okay,
Sure.
once a week, I'm going to give a recommendation. Once a week, I'm going to write an article. And are you that focused on what you do? Do you have like a calendar of things?
Absolutely. It's funny, I was talking to my niece earlier today about this. I asked her if she had done something that I asked her to do professionally, and she kind of looked down, and I said, you didn't do it yet, did you? And I said, tell you what, I said, here's a little trick that I use. I put everything that I want to accomplish that day or whatever period of time on my calendar. Yeah. And then if it's on my calendar, I commit to doing it, and it's as if I have to do it because it's there, it's staring me in the face, I can't ignore it, and then it gets done, and then you have the satisfaction of being able to also look back at the end of the day and say, oh my gosh, look at all these things that I did, or that week, or that month, right? Because there's so much going on, oftentimes you forget all the
being
things.
an entrepreneur, you don't have a taskmaster over you, like, I have to give this to the boss or whatever, because you are the boss.
That's right.
And so that's what I find. I have to put it on the calendar. If I put it on the calendar, it'll get done.
It'll get done.
But if I don't, if I just put it on a wish list or to-do list or something, not that good at following up, because something else bright and shiny will take my attention or something like that. So
absolutely.
So do you teach people how to be entrepreneurs?
In an indirect way, I would say that I do. I also encourage people to think about being an entrepreneur, because a lot of people would never even consider it. And so probably like you can spot people that are more naturally gifted towards being an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, I have a story in this book that is about it's about discovering whether you're secretly an entrepreneur or not. And so I'll ask you questions to help you ferret out whether in fact you might be. Right. So I do teach people how to be an entrepreneur indirectly. I work with a lot of companies that have mentoring programs, and so indirectly I'm teaching them all kinds of different skills that can help them both inside that company, but secretly also outside the company, should they need to use those skills in an entrepreneurial fashion somewhere.
I think the best employees think like an entrepreneur.
I agree.
I mean, I work on a government project occasionally, and I have no education to do the job, but I do the job very well. And I believe it is because I think like an entrepreneur. And in that instance, is because I can see the project ahead, and I can see what's going to be needed. And people are like, how did you do that? I'm like, it's just the way you think.
It is. It's probably your ranger. You probably have a ranger as one of your talents, I bet.
I'll have to take the test.
Yeah, I can set you up.
Okay, all right. So tell us about. We should show the book on the screen. I know that they've got it back there, but this is a great little book here. And I love the light bulb because I'm a light bulb person.
I'm all
We are
about
like
the
sisters
ideas.
here,
We are.
okay?
We so are. Yes, we are.
So tell, oh, there it is. It looks amazing.
Thank
So
you.
tell me, do you want to tell a story from one of the chapters that you've written? Do you have a favorite story?
That's a good question. It's kind of like asking, do you have a favorite child, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, it's funny. I tend to like the story that I've written last,
Okay.
and so that wouldn't be in this book. But the one that I wrote last and just recently published was about being nice. And I
Oh.
called it Nice is Not a Four-Letter Word. Are you nice? And it was fascinating to see the reaction and interaction that I had with people around the globe, telling me whether they were nice or not, or, you know, thank you for calling this out, because a lot of people give the word nice a bad rap.
Yes.
It's almost, and I said this in my article, that it's almost like a backhanded compliment to call somebody nice. Oh, you're so nice. Like, is that a bad thing? You know, I'd rather be called nice than many other names,
Right,
certainly,
right.
right? So I'd say that that's probably one of my favorite stories right now. But I tend to like to write stories that are going to elicit a reaction, to getting people to think about something. And typically I'm inspired by whatever it is that I'm writing that you know, really gets me going in terms of wanting to give you my take on whatever that topic is. And so I write on demand a lot, and it's funny because I'll just ask people, and they have no idea that what I'm going to be doing with their information. But I'll ask them about a topic, and then I listen a little bit, and then I put my spin on it.
So now, do I understand this correctly? Like you're working on this next book?
I am. I'm in the editing process, as a matter of fact.
Wow, good
And
for you.
Kathleen Veth, who was my editor for this book, is the editor, the main editor on the second book, and I'll be coming out with that book in the fall. I'm going through that scary process of doing the editing right now because it's got to be almost perfect to bring it to market, as you know. But at the same time, I'm writing book 4. So book 3 will be out next year, book 4 will be out the year after that, unless I accelerate the process some way.
I think you like writing.
I do, and it's funny because I've shared this before publicly, but I was dyslexic growing up, and probably still am actually, but I didn't discover that until I was in my early 20s. And so the thought of ever writing a book was just completely a non-starter. I thought never would that happen. There's no way. I didn't read until I was in the 4th grade. I really didn't feel as if I was a strong writer for a really long period of time. But then a couple of years ago, when I was challenged to put my information into a story format, I thought, well, okay, it's going to be even scary to put my writing out there for lots of people to read, because what if it's not any good?
Right.
All right, no one will read it, that's fine. But the more that I've done the type of writing that I've been doing, the more I like it, and the more avenues I look to try to kind of scare myself. I'm always trying to scare and challenge myself as an entrepreneur to do something that is way outside of my comfort zone. So that was absolutely outside of my comfort zone, writing a book.
And now look at you, you're going
I
on to
know.
4. When I became a speaker, that was a big thing. But then they said, oh, to be successful as a speaker, you have to write. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a writer. And now I know I love writing better than I like speaking. So
I like the process of writing. It's very therapeutic, and then you have something to show at the end of it, which I like. And you don't always have that when you're speaking, unless it's recorded.
It's like a lasting legacy.
It can be, right, exactly.
Now, on your business card, you mentioned that you coach sports teams. So I wanted to ask about that. Because you're business coach, individual coach, and sports teams. I'm like, wow.
Yes.
First of all, how did you get into that?
So Coach Sean Wright from the Chelmsford High boys varsity lacrosse team was my son's coach, my youngest son Cole's coach, a few years back. And when he left the high school and transferred to a different school, he gave me sort of the blessing that I could approach his coach and ask him if I could apply the Gallup StrengthsFinder concept to that team. And so there's a concept called Destination Unstoppable by an author, Maureen Monte, who wrote that book. And so I used her concept as an overlay with Sean Wright's team to work with them on two things, because at the beginning of the season I said, hey, since you're going to take me on, I'm going to donate my time here because I'm practicing with a team, because I want to apply the same concepts that I see work incredibly well to unite teams and motivate teams in the business world. I think we can do that in the sports world. So he said, okay, let's give it a try. So I worked with the 27 young men on the team, found out what their top 5 strengths were, found out what the coach's strengths were, worked with them all season, met with each team person 2 hours just to get to know them better and to make sure that they're focused on their number one strength. And I gave each boy and coach on the team one extra job to do, and I divided it into 4 different categories of what they were supposed to do in addition to their field role.
Okay.
And so that was a game changer, because what it did was it especially for those boys that weren't playing on the field, it gave them an opportunity to know that they had another job that was really important to do, to be part of that team and to strengthen that team. So the coach asked me to do two things: unite the team and see what I could do to get them to as close to winning the state championship as possible. So united the team beautifully, and then got the team to within about 3 games of winning the state championship. So
wow.
Not bad for the first time out. So
wow, that's wonderful.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. I'm in the process of talking to other teams to do that same sort of thing with them right now, both professional teams as well as at the college level.
That's a fascinating story. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I also, in reading your book, you love networking.
I do.
Again, we're bonded sisters here.
That's right. And clearly that comes from my woo. I don't think that everybody likes networking, but I think it's one of the most critically important things that people need to do and to at least become comfortable with. And you don't have to do the sort of hardcore networking of throw yourself into a room with 1,000 people, right? It could just be going to a small dinner with some people that maybe one person that's going to the dinner, right? That's networking, right? Networking could be talking to your neighbor about, hey, do you know something about X, Y, Z, because you're trying to either meet somebody that's in that field, or you're trying to absorb some information about a particular topic, and know that they might know somebody. That's networking too. Right? So it shows up in so many different forms that people don't necessarily consider it to be networking.
And wouldn't you agree that people, when you network with someone, when you met them, I always say we're bonded for life.
Yes.
Many people don't think that way, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I've made these connections 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and I'm still in connect mode with many of them. I might not see them, but I might be able to send them an email or something, a newsletter or something like that.
Yes.
And I see that people, when they've met all these connections, and then they change jobs. And they never tell all those people that they met that they changed the job. I'm like, hello, networking.
Right. We should all be networking.
Always. And keep those connections for life.
Right. And not just when you need a job or need something.
Right.
You should just keep in touch with people. And I've written about that extensively.
And I think you wrote in there too, because I agree with, it's always, to me, it's about how can I best help them?
Yes.
Not how can you help me?
Right.
It's like, how can I best help that person? Who can I connect that person with, or something like that?
That's right.
I tell you, we're bonded sisters. Well, we are coming to the close of our show, but I always ask a couple things. Is there a number one thing that you would recommend to entrepreneurs to do to really catapult their success?
I would say to be curious and
I like that.
Yes, always ask questions. Lots of people have more information and knowledge than I do. And so I'm never afraid to ask somebody for help. I think that's really critically important. People think, oh, they're too busy, I can't ask them. As a matter of fact, I reached out today to a former CEO of a very large company that I used to work at and asked her to be on my board of directors. Why not? I need her help, right? And so that would be my number one thing, is to be curious. And don't be afraid of that.
I always think, you hear this with people being hired, oh, they're overqualified. I didn't want to hire them because they're overqualified. And I'm like, you're not thinking like an entrepreneur there.
No.
Everybody that I've ever hired on whatever project or whatever company that I was dealing with, I always hired people that were overqualified.
Yes.
Why? Because I
smart.
want to learn.
Right.
I want to learn. They know more than me. I want to learn. And that's an entrepreneurial thinking kind of thing.
It is. You should always surround yourself with people that are smarter and better at whatever it is that you're good at.
Yes. Well, let's give your website out to our.
Sure.
You tell the crowd here how they can get in touch with you. How
So they can get in touch with me a number of different ways.
Okay.
My website is www.marketmetoo, that's metoo.net, and it should be up right now. It has been under construction, so it's evolving right now. They can also call me at 339-987-0195, or they can reach me through email at Kathy with a K, Kathy Murphy at me.com.
Awesome, and that's how they can get the book through.
My book is available through Amazon right
Amazon.
now.
There you go. And the name again is
Wisdom Whisperer.
So go on Amazon and get her book. It's really, really good.
It's great for people that are in the process of graduating, whether it be from high school, college, or in their career at some point and need additional advice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the
Thank
show.
you so
You're
much.
a delight.
Oh, thank you.
And my friends, thank you. Again, this show is called Think Like an Entrepreneur. I'm Debbie Hoffman Adair. And if you have questions or anything, you can reach me at debbie@debbieadair.com. If you have ideas for the show, send them over. Remember that your early success isn't really what you feel. It's how you think. Think like an entrepreneur. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.